Alright, hello, welcome. So this is part 35. This is just running high security combat sites in the Carousel Cruiser to find some escalations to run, then get in the Drake Battle Cruiser and run the escalations, and then get profit. Depends if you're lucky or not. So before we said to use the destroyer to find escalations and scan everything down, but we didn't actually end up scanning everything down. Just hop in the Carousel Cruiser to find escalations, run them in the Battle Cruiser. Alright, hello, welcome to this video. So we're completely redoing this video. We went out and ran combat missions last night, and everything seemed fine on paper, but when you're actually out there running missions, the ships that we suggested don't do anything for you. The ships we suggested probably aren't really that great. So if we look here at the combat sites, right, you Google EVE combat sites, go to this page, and we were in Caldari space, right? We know we're looking for Grista's places. So the Grista's hideaway, the Grista's hidden hideaway, that could be run fine in the destroyer. But when we ran the Forsaken hideaway in the destroyer, we couldn't do that one. We couldn't do it in the destroyer. And all these scanning missions we were talking about, we didn't actually manage to scan any down anyways. Pretty much everything that we did last night, it just came down to just finding these things that we didn't even have to scan down. We found these, we found some refugees. Later we put the destroyer back. We put the destroyer back, so it was just keeping us limited to only running the level 1 and level 2 missions, and we were finding a bunch of level 3 and level 4 missions. Yep. So also, we were saying this ship might be better in Caldari space than the Cormorant. We were also completely wrong about that. The Cormorant's probably vastly superior to the Algos. The Algos maybe does an extra 100 DPS. Or maybe it's just because we have to stay out of range or something. If we stay out of range with the Algos, it has 40 kilometer drone control range and they deal 100 DPS. This ship deals 61 DPS. Although I guess this deals damage fast, the drones don't have to fly to them. So we're retracting our offer. Maybe this ship is better for running combat missions. Although we don't actually use this ship, right? Maybe this ship would be good for scanning down those sites and finding them. Although we didn't actually end up scanning down any sites, so the scanning doesn't actually do anything for this ship. So considering that, the only scanning thing, the only reason that we would be in the destroyer is because we were hoping to scan down this site, right? We were hoping to scan down the level 2 site. And this one just said, will not allow cruisers or bigger Dupras. That was the only reason we didn't take a cruiser. But considering those don't even come up too much, and these come up all the time, maybe skip the destroyer. Maybe the destroyer is not too great. Just go straight to the cruiser. Because in all those missions, there was just frigates and destroyers, right? If you go here, we right click. So we're saving you a whole bunch of time by doing this, right? We're not, we wasted a whole bunch of time last night. But these things, you would just fly through space, find them on your scanner probe, and then there would just be frigates to fight. So we're going to be putting some clips in later too about how we did this, if we didn't delete all of them. But there's just going to be frigates and destroyers and maybe some cruisers in some of the mission. So going back in here, if you're looking to do combat sites in Caldari space, just choose the Caldari cruiser. Just go with the Carousel. The Carousel should absolutely destroy all the frigates and destroyers. Although we haven't actually flown it there yet, we're just making this video just so we could make our next video, because it's going to be something completely different, I think. But we have the Rigger Catalyst, right? Flare Catalyst. Pretty much every single thing's the same. Kinetic Shield Reinforcer. Pretty much, because if we're going here, it says the damage to deal is kinetic thermal. Damage to resist is kinetic thermal, 79%. So we only need kinetic resistances, which Caldari specializes in kinetic resistances. So we just put this kinetic shield to make that a little bit stronger, and then the rapid light missile launchers with the Scourge light missiles doing kinetic damage, which they're weak against. And then the micro warp drive, which allows us to move 1,600. So that's actually alright on the cruiser. And then we got 2 large shield extenders, just so we have a whole bunch of tank. and then just the kinetic shield hardener, because we only need to resist kinetic damage, right? So if we simulate, it goes up to 77%. So that's actually pretty sweet. And the missile guidance computer, this just makes our missiles more accurate. That's pretty much it. We took the target painter off. Just because you have to sit there and target the enemies all the time. This thing you could use it all the time. We switched it for the kinetic shield hardener. Just so when we go out there, nothing could damage us. And then 2 ballistic control systems. We could upgrade these to ballistic control system 2s. That's right. So we're doing 146 damage. So we do have the skills to use the Tech 2 ballistic control, so we might as well do it. Now we're doing 160, and then just the missile guidance enhancer, and then the damage control. So I guess that's pretty much it, right? We don't use drones on this ship. So the revised version of the best ship for running high security combat missions, security combat sites, would be this one. This one vastly outclasses the Algos and probably even the Comrade. Although the Comrade is probably super sick. It's just if you have the cruiser, you might as well cruise it. And then after you find an escalation, because we're gonna talk about how you actually find these, how you actually get an escalation site, and how you might get some modules. So we didn't get anything good from it, but pretty much we'd take the carousel, we'd go find the sites. Once we get an escalation, we'd come back, pick up our battle cruiser, and then do the escalation, and then hopefully get some good loot worth anything. Although we didn't get good loot worth anything, right? So we don't even need this thing, right? We were telling people to get the core probe scanner, but we don't actually need the probe scanner for anything. We don't need it for anything. There's nothing to really put up there, right? Maybe just the drone augmenter back onto it. So that's pretty much like all we could put onto it. Oh no, it doesn't fit. So we don't need anything in the top slot. So there we go. The Drake, exactly how we set up before. So it's just the ECCM script, so they can't target jam us. That's it. Perfect. So the Drake set up. So we did use this after. This thing is really good for running missions, but I imagine this thing would be just as good, and it would be faster. This one goes, 976 miles a sec. This goes 1,600 miles a sec. So we're just going to hop into the carousel here. Maybe we have to redo the beginning a little bit. So we did the introduction. Once you have figured out what is the best ship to run high security combat sites in Caldari space, it would be the Carousel Cruiser. It would destroy everything. So if we look at the map on the left hand side here, then we could open up the map. So we just have to redo this part here. If we go to the gear at the top part left, you could click down at Sovereign T and click on Empire and Pirate Factions. So this way you could tell what area of space you're in. We're looking to run Caldari missions, right? We're looking for Caldari combat, just because that's the ship that we're specialized to fight the pirates against. So as long as it's a red area, we should be able to go there. So you pretty much just find some place, say your destination there, and then after you've explored that place, pretty much just keep exploring more places. Say your destination here. Perfect. So now we'll end this clip, and then we'll get the clips that we recorded before, and then we'll go over what we did to get all of the money that we didn't get, because you have to be lucky to get money apparently, and we weren't lucky yesterday. Alright, so you're pretty much flying out in space wherever you say your destination. You got your probe scanner up, and you're looking to see for Grista's hideaways or anything coming up in these scanners. Then you just have to warp to the combat sites and complete them. So they shouldn't be too difficult, right? Especially if you're actually in the cruiser. We did them in the destroyer, so they weren't actually too easy. But then you'll get an escalation. The message will pop up. So then on the left hand side, you just have to open up your agency tab, press the home button, go to exploration, and then click on escalations. So this one's in a low security system. So if you don't want to run a low security system, especially for your first one, we didn't want to run the low security system. You could just keep searching for more places to run. So we got the Forsaken Hideaway. Yeah, this is when we got the battle cruiser. So the battle cruiser is far superior to the destroyer. Although if we use the carousel cruiser, it would probably work just as well. Yeah, so then we completed this Forsaken place and we got the Grista Scout Outpost. So this is the escalation that you get. They actually come pretty quickly. It doesn't take too long to get them. But this one's in high security space. So we decided we're actually going to run that one. So we take the Drake battle cruiser. So we just use the cruiser to run missions to find escalations, and then we get into the battle cruiser to complete the escalations. So there's going to be tons and tons of ships here, right? There's a lot of ships. The cruiser might have problems here. Even the battle cruiser had problems. Even the battle cruiser had to warp out. They were doing tons of damage to the battle cruiser. But if you actually complete them, you probably do get loot. It seems to be luck based, right? We didn't get lucky, so we didn't get loot. Oh, that's right. So after you complete the mission, there might not be loot inside any of the enemy ships. You might have to target a structure like the radiating telescope, it said for this one. That's where the loot was. Yeah, so basically whatever the name is of the escalation you get, you could Google it and that might tell you what drops the items, right? Grista Scout Outpost, it says max size is a battle cruiser, so only a battle cruiser could go in here. And if we click on here, then it would tell us what's inside this place. So it says there's going to be 16 frigates. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of enemies there. They were going to do target jammers. So we had the sensor booster on the ship, so the target jammers didn't actually affect us. And then it said the Overseer, Cruiser, Grista Scout Officer, he might drop some items. Yeah, he might drop some cruiser modules. And then the supply container, it just contained T1 ammo, drones, and metal scraps. So there wasn't really anything in there, but in the second pocket, there's going to be even more ships. So I think this is where we had to warp out maybe supply crates. So there wasn't really anything in the supply crates for us, but in the radiating telescope, contains 8-tier personal effects that may contain Pythium C type modules, Gila, Print Copy, or Dread Garista's modules. So your loot would be coming from this one ship here if he drops any Dread Garista's cruiser modules, or it might come from this structure we actually blow up. This might have Dread Garista modules and Gila blueprint copy, or some other modules and stuff. So it came from the actual structure, right? It didn't come from any of these ships. And then even if we're looking in here, maybe it would tell you. So there's a possible rare spawn at the end of these, the Garista's Hideaway. There may be a rare spawn at the end that you blow up and he may drop you something. And even for the hidden hideaways, maybe they just lead to an escalation or something. In a Forsaken Hideaway, he might rarely spawn and he might drop some faction modules. In the Grista's Forlorn Hideaway, right, he might rarely spawn and he might drop some faction charges, modules, or tags. So as well as getting the escalations and finding them and getting the loot from the escalations actually blowing up the building, maybe you'll find some rare spawns in these places that you're finding. Maybe they will drop you something as well. So without having to go to the escalations, you could randomly find somebody in there and they might give you something. Is there something good in the refugee? Because I think people said don't run the burrows, but we ran some burrows for some reason. I think there's like some things in there. Yeah, in the Garista's refugee, there might be 2 rare spawns. So he might drop you faction modules, and another rare commander, he might drop you faction modules, right? Alright, perfect. So the Garista's refuge seems like a really good place to go to. So pretty much you're running like Garista's hideaways, Garista's hidden hideaways, Garista's Forsaken hideaways, Garista's Forlorn hideaways, Garista's refugees, maybe Garista's dens? Would Garista dens be able to be run? Frigates, cruisers, maybe they would be, but it doesn't say there's anything, but it says it escalates into this. Oh, it tells you what it might escalate into. Trap? Garista Scout Outpost. Oh, okay. So we must run the Forlorn Hideaway, right? We run a Forsaken Hideaway? No. It tells you what it might escalate into. I was pretty sure we got it from running a Forlorn Hideaway. Anyways, this is the one that we got, Grista Scout Outpost. And then we just run it. It's just a random chance that you might be able to start it. Looks like there is other ones that you could get too. Perfect. So that's everything that you need to know about running those. Pretty much you should be able to run all of these in the cruiser. We were able to run all of them in the battle cruiser. And the battle cruiser seemed like a bit too much. Maybe just don't worry about scanning them, right? We don't have a scanning ship. We're not scanning anything. Maybe we'd have to bring the Heron out later or something. Maybe we go scanning in the Heron, searching for relic and data sites. And then maybe combat sites would just be something extra that we could find. And if we find something good, maybe we could just go back into our combat ship and fly it or something. But these things we're not scanning down at all. Cool, so we'll go back to the video. So I think we blew up the radio telescope. And then we're going to loot the modules that wasn't worth anything because we didn't get the blueprint. We didn't get lucky. Then here's just pretty much the end where we destroy the radio telescope structure, right? The loot wasn't in any of the enemies. We actually had to target this structure and blow it up. But there's 2 modules we're looking for, right? We got like $7 million worth of stuff. So we didn't get anything expensive. We took it to the Jeddah main trading hub. That thing's worth maybe like 4 million. And this item is maybe worth like maybe it's worth like 1 million or something. This item's worth like 500,000. And the other module we got was only worth 60,000. So the module we get wasn't worth anything. And then we're just going to look at something we could have gotten was the Gila blueprint copy, right? That could have dropped from the structure. That could have gotten us 160 mil. If we were lucky, we could have got that. And maybe there were some other more expensive modules or drops that we didn't get.